Your brain is a filter factory, and it will always find more of what you feed it. Hey, y'all, welcome to MINDSHiFT Monday, where we don't just talk about mindset, we rewire it. I'm Robert Kennedy III, RK3, that's me, and today we are talking about how gratitude literally retrains your brain to see opportunities instead of obstacles. Oh yeah, so glad that y'all are here. Jaquise Moore, good to see you. Decant Chuhan joined on Instagram. So glad you're here. Kendra Cuidad, Farrar Thomas, so glad that you are here this morning. TL Speaks, glad that you're here. C. Marie B, so glad that you are in the place, in the space this morning. So glad that y'all are here this morning. Hey y'all, join the live conversation with us after the show. Come on to MINDShiftMonday.com/Zoom for the level up at 8 o'clock. You want to know when we're going live? Text live to 240-557-8679. Yes. I'm so glad that y'all are here. I'm excited about this morning. And guess what? Mostly, I'm grateful. What you focus on expands. So what is your mind focusing on? Are you focused on fear, frustration, or are you focused on gratefulness? Let's jump into the show today. All right, let's do it. Yes. Welcome to the show. Well, listen, y'all, before we jump into the show, I've got a question for you. What if 2026 was finally the year that you came out your shell and created the visibility that you need for your business and your brand? I've heard from too many of you that you know that you need to grow, and you finally are deciding to become the face of your brand and your business. And so that's why we're doing the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass. Check out this message and get signed up for this session today. Here we go.
You already know visibility drives business, but between listings, clients, and calls, getting in front of the camera can feel like one more thing. That's why on November 13th, we're cutting the fluff. Just 2 focused hours to get you ready to show up consistently in 2026 without the overwhelm. Welcome to the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass. We'll dial in the gear that actually fits your workflow. No tech headache. We'll strengthen the grit that keeps you consistent, even when life gets busy. And we'll unlock the greatness that makes your brand magnetic on video. This isn't theory. It's practical, doable, and designed to set you up strong for 2026. So if you're ready to step out from behind the desk, own your message, and finally become the face of your business, register for the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass on November 13th. Because your clients can't connect with a secret, it's time to be seen, be heard, be great.
Yeah, make sure that you get registered. One switch on that. It's not November 13th. It's the 20th. It's the 20th. All right, Milton Dodd, so glad that you're here. Kara Mims, Realtor on Instagram, so glad that you're here. Twyla Grigsby, good to see y'all this morning. Hey, yes. So your brain has a RAS, an RAS, a reticular activating system, a filter that decides what gets your attention. And if you train it to look for stress, you're gonna find it every single place that you look. But if you train it to look for good, your brain rewires to notice solutions and not setbacks. Okay, let's get into it. So, do you know anybody who always has something negative to say? Yeah. Do you know anybody who has something negative to say all the time? Okay, maybe they are not blatant complainers, but they frequently rant about something. They're frequently petty. They always want to vent. They're always looking to see or to speak about the negative things. Even when they laugh, giggle, and smile, it's about something negative. Anybody know anybody like that? Yeah. Some years ago, I noticed something. I noticed that there was an uptick in negative speak. And this was when reality shows were at an all-time high, right? I noticed that people's conversations began to change. You see, when I was growing up, people talked about TV shows, right? You watched the TV show and you came back to school the next day and you talked about it. And as we talked about the shows we saw, we would laugh and we would have some commiseration or camaraderie, building rapport around that. And I won't say, I don't want to act all high and mighty and say that everything that was on TV back in the day when I was a young child was perfect and wholesome. But some years ago, I began to see a shift in conversations, especially when reality TV came around. The conversation shifted more towards a drama-filled conversation. And people began to find more joy in petty behavior. They began to find joy in the fights. They began to find joy in the comebacks and the clapbacks and all the negative stuff. And I noticed that the more negative that it was, the more that they seemed hooked to the show. And this was all sorts of people. It wasn't one group of people. It was all sorts of people. It was Real World. It was Big Brother. It was any of the Real Housewives. It was rich people. It was regular people. It was men. It was women. It was young. It was old. There was definitely a practice of DEI when it came to finding people to engage in negative behavior for ratings. And what I noticed was the more of these shows that came out, the more that people began to talk a certain way. And the more that they watched the shows, the more that they talked about petty, the more that they talked about drama, unnecessary conflict. They seemed consumed by this. And the more that they seemed consumed by this is the more that they seemed to reflect that behavior. Yeah, I mean, I had people that were around me, and I started to hang around less because I saw that there was just some stuff that they started to talk about more and more and more. And the more that they talked about it, the more that they incorporated it into their friendships or how they saw and talked about other people. And I even had somebody ask me, I've had people ask me, how come you don't watch this show? What do you watch? You're always so motivational. You're always so serious. You're always this, that, and the other thing. How come you don't watch anything? Do you watch anything to decompress? They asked how come I didn't watch any of those shows, because whenever they started to talk about those shows, whenever those conversations came up, I just seemed to not have anything to say. And sometimes I remember responding, I don't particularly get joy out of seeing people manipulated for ratings. And they laughed and they said I was weird and it was just TV. But I noticed that when things became challenging for these same people that were laughing at me or saying that I was weird, I noticed that when things became challenging at work, the same person's first response was that the manager was out to get them. Right? They were not inclined to be introspective. They were not inclined to to look for ways to be better. For them, it was as simple as the world was set up to antagonize them, and that came out in the way that they handled everything. Am I talking reality? Am I off base? Have y'all ever experienced this? Have you noticed this, I guess, over the last 10, 15 years or so? Is it me? If y'all have noticed this, just type me in the comments. Right? Here's something else I've been asked. Robert, why doesn't it ever seem like you have a bad day? And I'll answer that in a moment. But I was in a discussion one time where I was told that it was unhealthy to ignore the bad in my life, and that it was actually denial and delusion. Yeah. So I'm reading this book now called The Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod. And in this book, he tells a story of how he was about 20 years old and he was heading to a conference or a convention, and he got hit head on by a drunk driver. And as the drunk driver hit his car head on, his car spun, and then he got hit directly on the driver's side by another car. Now, in that accident, which, as you can imagine, was a pretty big accident, he broke more than 11 bones and ended up in the hospital. Now, he was in the hospital for quite a few weeks. He was there for quite a few weeks. I mean, had a lot of recovery to do. But after a couple of weeks at the hospital, the doctor called his parents, and the doctor told the parents that he was concerned. He was concerned about their son. And they said, "Oh my gosh, is he getting worse?" The doctor said, "No, he's getting better, actually, but I'm concerned about him because he's acting like this did not happen, or he's acting like everything is okay. And I believe that he's in denial, and that's dangerous. He's not showing the normal responses of patients that are in this situation. And I believe he's in denial because when people are in denial, they can then lean to addictive behavior, and that's dangerous." And so the father went to the son and said, "Oh my gosh, the doctor says you're in denial." And the son looked at him and said, "Why?" The father explained what the doctor said, and the son said, "Dad, you know I live by the 5-minute rule." What's the 5-minute rule? Well, here's what happened. Several months earlier, Hal Elrod had been going to a training, and in that training, there was somebody that shared with them with regard to sales, you're going to experience disappointments. You're going to experience rejection. And here's what I want you to do. When you experience disappointment and rejection, I want you to swear, and I want you to curse, and I want you to do everything, and I want you to get mad. And I want you to be mad for 5 minutes. Let it out for 5 minutes. But at the end of 5 minutes, set that timer. At the end of 5 minutes, say to yourself, I can't change that. I can only learn from it. Here's what I can be grateful for in it. So he began to implement this in his sales. And what happened was, over time, he was ultimately training his brain to be grateful. And as he's training his brain to be grateful, as he's training his brain to see the good, it ended up that his mind began to use that in the situations that he was not expecting. So now in this situation where he's hit by a drunk driver and he's in the hospital and he's like, okay, that happened. He got, he was mad. He was upset. Why did it happen to me? But then he said, okay, this happened. And he got to a point of acceptance. And as he got to a point of acceptance, he began to now say, okay, what can I be grateful for? As a matter of fact, I was going to see if I could find it really quickly. I don't remember where it is in the book. Here, let me see if I can find it. Okay. Here's what he said. He said he started to think about how he would do his job. He thought about living in a wheelchair, and he thought about how he would get in and out of cars, and he thought about how he would date, how he would go on dates. He started to think about lots of stuff, and he said he kept coming to the same conclusion. And it's like, I have so much to be grateful for, and my life can be whatever I choose to make of it. Anything that happens from this moment on, yes, that happened. I can't change that, but whatever happens from this moment on is what I choose. Is what I choose. Let me pause for just a second before I continue the story, just to say hey to some people. John Register, what's going on? Good to see you. Alexandria Nicole, so glad that you're here. Udine, so glad that you're here. Hans, so good to see you on Instagram. Baking Sweet Sense, so glad that you're all here. Yeah, so, all right. So he got to the point where he said, I've learned to be grateful. And here's what happened. Here's the crazy thing that happened. He had 11 bones that were broken. And typically, when you experience broken bones, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for your bones to be healed. Now, he'd been hit head on. There was a lot of stuff that happened in his body. But because, I'm going to say because he chose to be grateful, but because his attitude was of such, his bones ended up healing in about 3 weeks. And the doctors were like amazed. His attitude did something biological, right? He learned to process the pain. He learned to accept something. And then he immediately or quickly got to the point where he found something to be grateful for. And as he found something to be grateful for, he found other things to be grateful for. And then he began to see all of the positive and the powerful things that he could do in his life because he accepted what happened already and decided to choose gratitude. Right? So back to my question. People say, Robert, you never seem to have a bad day. Well, listen, you are right. I don't have bad days. I have bad moments. I have a moment that something negative happens. I have got a moment where something not positive happens. I've got a moment where something unexpected happens. And after that moment, I've learned or I've trained my brain to say, yeah, that happened. I can't change that happened. What can I learn from that? And what can I be grateful for because of that? You see, gratitude doesn't ignore the bad. It gives your brain permission to notice the good too. Gratitude sees that bad, but it allows you to filter the good things also. You see, here's how our brains work. Here's how our brains work, right? We are wired. We're wired for survival, right? And not joy. Okay, I want you to get that. We're not wired for joy. I mean, most of us do not wake up and immediately our eyes open. We're like, yay! All right. No, our brains are wired for survival. Our brains are wired for pain avoidance. Right? Our brains automatically scan for danger. What's not going to hurt me? And our world is set up with this negativity bias. Have you noticed how easy it is to find something negative? You don't have to try. But in order to find joy on a regular basis, you got to choose it. And you got to choose to find it. And the more that you choose it, the easier it becomes to find, but you still must choose it. Right? We're getting close to the end of time here. Just this morning, my alarm buzzed and my default, like many of you, is I want to sleep. I don't want to get out of bed. But I had to choose to tell myself, it's a great day. I'm grateful for life. God, you love me. I'm worth loving. I'm so glad to see this day. I had to choose to say those things. And as I said those things, I could literally feel my body changing. Not just my mind, my body. I could feel it waking up. I could feel it coming alive for the day. And this is not just about affirmations, right? This is about training my brain about what to look for, right? You see, training is not just about making something automatic. It's about allowing your brain or your mind, your body to quickly access a choice that serves you better, right? Your brain becomes brilliant at finding what you train it to look for. And so gratitude is the lens that turns ordinary into opportunity. let's begin to land the plane here. So you know that I always share 3 things. Oh my gosh, we're running low on time. 3 things that allow you to transform. 3 actions for your transformation. So here's number 1. All right, here's number 1 that I want you to do. Flip the script. When you catch yourself complaining, when you catch yourself saying something that is negative or ranting or venting, I want you to flip the script. Add this onto it. But I'm grateful that. Oh my gosh, it's so hot today. But I'm grateful that my eyes are open and I could feel the heat. Flip the script. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. But I'm grateful that I have a few dollars in my pocket to go get some food. Right? When you do that, you retrain your thought patterns in real time. Right? Flip the script. Add, but I'm grateful that. Right? So that's number 1. Number 2. All right, let's keep going. Number 2. Run what I call the 3 good scan at the end of each day. At the end of each day, name 3 specific things that went right. Okay, and let's go deep here. Let's go deep on this. Not just, oh, I'm alive at the end of the day. That's a good thing, but I want you to get specific on some stuff. Okay, yeah, that meeting flowed. Yep, that meal hit, boy. Yeah, right. That text made me smile. 3 things every day. 3 things. At the end of each day, you'll have 3 things. At the end of each week, you will have 21 things. At the end of each month, at least you'll have 84 things, right? My math wasn't letting me go. 84 times 12 is what? I don't know. All right. But 3 things at the end of each day. Right? Kara says, but negates whatever comes before it. Yes, absolutely. Last thing. Visual gratitude cues. Place a sticky note or a bracelet or a background on your phone that says, look for the good. Look for the good. Part of the reason it's so easy for us to slip into default mode or into negative mode or into petty mode is because most of the stuff around us reinforces that. You scroll on social media, negative. Or comparison. You look at news, negative, right? You look at your walls. There's nothing on your walls that reminds you. It's just blank, or it's something. There may be is there something that reminds you to look for the good? Anything that you want to choose, if you want to retrain your brain, you've got to train your space, or you've got your space has to reinforce or reflect what you're looking to achieve. Look for the good. Right? I'll share with you something that's right in front of me. There's a sticky note in front of me. We're not doing Bible study, but I'm telling you what's in front of me. It says Proverbs 16 verse 3, share your plans with the Lord and you will succeed. Ooh, my reminder, before I do anything, share my plans with my God. Right? That's what's in front of me. What is in your environment that reminds you or reinforces your wiring? Look for the good. Look for the good, y'all. Look for the good. Hey, I say this at the end of every show. Turn your day from reaction into creation. Yeah, the after show's coming up in just a few moments, but let's see how we can turn our day from reaction into creation. Let's talk about how rewiring our focus helps you to see more good. Listen, your gratitude isn't a reaction, it's a rewiring, right? I want you to change your focus, and your future will follow. Retrain your brain, reframe your reality, and then keep on shifting your mindset so that you can shift your life. Just in case you haven't gotten it yet, gratitude and happiness are different things, right? They can be related, but they're different. I can choose to be grateful in the midst of pain. I can choose to have gratitude while undergoing a sad circumstance. right? I can choose gratefulness while walking through a challenge, but choosing gratefulness rewires my brain and prepares it to see the good stuff around me. And later on, I can choose happiness, right? So gratitude is the floor upon which happiness is built. I'll say that one more again before we get out of here. Gratitude is the floor upon which happiness is built, right? If you love the messages that we share each week, yeah, come on, let me see. Am I doing it right? I'm playing the wrong music. Yeah. All right, there we go. All right. If you love the messages that we share each week, text live to 240-557-8679. You'll get a notification when we are live, right? And if you're ready to make 2026 the year you finally come out of the shadows and start showing up consistently for your business, even when you don't have the time, jump into the Gear, Grit, and Greatness Masterclass that is not on the 13th. It's on November 20th. Head on over to geargritgreatness.com and get signed up for that. And lastly, don't forget to join us in the after show in just about a minute to talk more about this topic. Head on over to mindshiftmonday.com/Zoom and you will get the link to get in. Hey, Kara, you got to catch a plane. Thank you for the mind shift. You are very welcome, my friend. Until next time, y'all, lead with gratitude, grow with purpose, and keep shifting your mindset so that you can shift your life. Or as I always say, change your thoughts, change your world, change your story. Peace. Woohoo.